literally molded my reality to get anything I want. Now, this is going to be a weird concept for most people because, of course, they've never actually seen the fruits of reality molding, I guess, whatever term you want to coin it as. But in today's video, I'm basically going to be covering as a very sit-down personal video to you guys, pretending like we're on FaceTime. I'm like a mentor giving advice. I personally think that reality molding it's a very broad umbrella term. It's a very broad concept. I'm basically going to cover every single concept and every single little nitpick under that umbrella term, so stick around. But I personally think it's the one thing that anybody needs to understand into getting rich, being successful, making money, doing anything you really want in life. So the first thing is getting clear on what you want. So clarity is probably the easiest kind of, facet of reality molding. You need to get clear on what you want. And I'm not talking about I want to make $1 million a year, have $1 million in my bank account. I'm talking about I want to make $1 million a year from these two businesses. I want to make this much a day, and I want it to happen in this speed, and I want it to happen like this. You have to get specific. You want to make 10K a month? Okay, well, what's your, an easy way to break it down, right? Is what is your dream life outcome that you would be happy dying with, and break that down. So hypothetically, if you don't really care about becoming a billionaire, because I personally don't care about becoming a billionaire, but you need to break this down into what do you spend a month, what do you make a month, what do you spend on, and then that's your goal. And then how are you going to get there? Reverse engineering this goal per se. So let's say you want to spend $2,000 a month on your family. You want to spend 10K a month on a nice penthouse. You want to spend $4,000 a month on a nice car. That's going to be XYZ a month. Those are your expenses. That's what you need to make. And obviously, so you have the expenses down. Now you probably got to triple that, so it's obviously affordable, because obviously just because you can afford something doesn't mean you can afford it. You want to triple that, make sure it's affordable, then boom, that's how much you need to make. What do you need to make that much? So that's the first thing. And obviously get clear on why you want it. Most people want things. Most people want a nice car. Most people want a nice watch. Most people want $1 million, but they're not clear on why they actually want it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if the sole reason on why you're pushing and trying is simply for monetary gain and money, you are never going to make money. And that's the truth of it. If your why is simply more money and fake dollars in your bank account, you will never make money. You have to have a bigger why. So the kind of 3 W's that I've talked about prior on this channel are what, why, and who. So what do you want? Get specific. Why do you want it? And go deep, right? You don't just want a Lamborghini because you like the look of the car. Of course, but you can just go look at a Lamborghini in a showroom, but there's a reason why you want to own it. You have to go deep, ask why until you can't ask yourself why anymore. And maybe some of you guys might come to a conclusion that's pretty deep and traumatic of, maybe your parents didn't give you enough validation, or you were bullied in school and you crave social or third-party validation, and that's why you want a Lamborghini. Now, who? Which is, in my personal opinion, it's the third W, and in my personal opinion, it's the most important W when it comes to the 3 Ws, is who. Who do you need to become? I personally think that the results you have are not from the work you put in, but who you are. So you are where you are because you are who you are. And it's very important to understand that concept when you want to mold a reality. So think about it as kind of like planes. You have there's different lives you can live. There's different versions of you out there. This is very woo-woo, manifesty, whatever, but it's very much so true. You have all these different planes and these different versions of you that are living a life. Can you not just be that person? Can you not, you see what I'm saying here? It's not like the results you have are not the results. It's not a result of the work you put in. It's the result of who you are as a person. Identity is the one thing that most people in this online money space, whatever you want to call it, undermine so unbelievably heavily. I'm going to talk about identity, what it is, how to fix it, how to use it to get rich and mold reality to get whatever you want. So stick around. So first thing, understand who you are. So what do you believe? Right? Your identity kind of falls into what you believe. Belief systems are the fundamentals on how you view everything. Now, most people believe things, but there's a sense of ego there. Now, what do I mean by that? Most people have a sense of ego when it comes to what they believe, and they will never, ever second guess themselves, and they will never, ever admit that they were wrong. Most people are never going to sit there and understand that they believe the things they do, not because they chose to believe it or it's actual logical data-based beliefs, but simply because it's just through experiences, and this one experience or 2 experiences have shaped the way that they view the world. The reality of it is your reality, or reality as a whole, is just as real as your perception of reality. Your perception of reality is just as real as reality itself. Whatever you perceive reality to be, that is what you are going to live. You need to understand that, because the reality of it is I could have not recorded this YouTube video, and this YouTube video could have not performed well, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to, you guys are going to look at the views and it's going to be pretty good. So this video, I could have never sat down and recorded this video, but I'm molding my reality, and my identity is that of a person who puts in the work and understands that this is the person I want to be, so I'm going to do it. Does that make sense? Obviously, I'm going to cover that, but belief systems. Most people have so much ego that they can't admit that the belief systems that they have are not the belief systems that they chose. You can choose your belief systems, but 99.999% of people's belief systems don't come from real, logical, database decisions. They come simply based off of personal experiences or past trauma. And that's the truth of it, okay? You need to understand that everything you believe is practically bullshit because it's all summed up on 2, maybe 3 or 4 unicorn scenarios. Maybe your teacher called you stupid 4 times in the span of a year, and now you have that fundamental belief that you're not a competent individual, which obviously is not a very logical thing to believe. And obviously, it's definitely not a positive thing to believe. Self-belief is very important. Obviously, we can touch on that really quick. Fuck limiting beliefs. Like, just it doesn't even make sense. The things that you believe, it has to have a return on it, even if it's not true. Like the guy that thinks that he's the highest IQ on the planet, even though he's never been tested, is going to operate as the person who has a very high IQ, opposed to the person that thinks they're dumb. Does that make sense? So any self-belief that you have to get rid of. It's bullshit. It doesn't make sense. And it always has to be a positive, self-serving belief. So, let's say and this is just an example. If you're getting jumped on the street, there's 5 guys that are going to come at you. You could sit there, crawl up into a ball and think, oh, I'm going to die. Or you could try and fight them, even though it's probably very unrealistic. But hypothetically in the world, you're probably going to have maybe a 1%, 2%, 3% higher chance of beating all these guys up, hypothetically. I'm going to take that 3% chance. And that's how it is with everything in life. You need to have only self-serving beliefs. You believe the things you do, not about reality, about yourself, for no fucking reason. And that's the crazy thing, is most people don't understand this. You believe the things you do for no logical reason. So I want you to sit there and fucking think about that for a second. You believe the things you do about reality and yourself for no fucking reason. You believe the things you do, and you believe like what you do about reality. You believe things about yourself, and your belief systems are based on completely illogical, non-database decisions. You've chosen, maybe some of you haven't chosen to believe that, but you chose to stick to believe it, and you haven't chosen to get out of it. So if you've done that, what's to say you can't choose to believe something else? A good way to break it, a limiting belief or a self-belief that isn't serving you, is obviously point out outliers. We're going to call it principal outliers here. So effectively, what a principal outlier is basically look at somebody that's going to disprove your self-belief. You're stupid. You're stupid. Your teacher told you you're stupid for years. Your friends think you're stupid, and you failed in school, and your standard for smart was grades, which obviously is fucking retarded, because I'm a high school dropout, and I've done pretty well for myself, and I stopped having good grades at about 8th grade. So theoretically, if that is your standard, you chose to believe that, and you still believe that, even if you're not in school, so you're tying yourself to a metric that doesn't exist anymore because you're out of the school system. You have to out-logic these beliefs. You have to karate them away, some might say. And that's the truth of it. Most of you guys believe things that have no logical consensus on believing. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's why most people don't get what they want out of life. If you can decide to believe something and stick to it, you can choose a self-serving belief and stick to that shit. One of my self-serving beliefs is I've gotten to where I am today. So there's literally nothing on the fucking planet stopping me to getting a whole lot more. Do you think that I got where I am today by being realistic or setting a box or setting a standard for myself? My standard was all the way fucking here, off the freaking screen. Do you see what I'm saying though? It's like you cannot sit here and box yourself in with these belief systems, especially if obviously it's very, if you had 18 girlfriends and they all broke up with you for the exact same reason, you might have a problem. You might have a problem, bro. But at the end of the day, most of you guys have a bunch of belief systems about yourself that are so fucking stupid that are holding you back to getting whatever the fuck you want in life and molding your fucking reality. You're sitting here believing them and feeding the energy, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. The best way to explain it is imagine your grandma who's been watching the news for 45 to 60 years. And of course, if you're watching this video, you understand that the news is bullshit and it lies. Imagine if you would go to your grandma and say, hey, by the way, the government lies, the news is bullshit. She's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? She'd probably fuck you off. She'd probably be like, you're dumb. I've been watching this for 60 years. And of course, the chains of identity are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. You believe things about yourself. A self-belief starts off small and it compounds over and over. It's kind of like mold. It's a gross black mold that grows on you until you're too sick and you fucking die of failure. Does that make sense? The chains of identity are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. They start off small. They build, they compound over time, and then it becomes you. It becomes your identity. And who wants to be the guy that fundamentally believes that he's a loser or he can't accomplish anything in life? It doesn't make sense to me. If you are so serious about changing your fucking life and you are so serious about getting the most, people ask, Smith, what's your motivation? My motivation is I'm going to freaking die one day. So I might as well follow the Bible, be a good person, and make my time on this earth last. Why not? Why shouldn't that be enough? And shouldn't that be enough to understand that why the fuck am I going to go about my finite time on this planet believing negative self-beliefs about myself? Shouldn't that be enough for you guys to sit here on this video and take notes and change your fucking life? That's what I don't understand. Identity is everything. Who you are influences what you do, and what you do influences what you get. Does that make sense? Your beliefs will manifest in your actions. If you think you're fat, I'm a fat person. I don't go to the gym. I'm a fat person. I can't run. I'm a fat person. I make jokes about myself. I'm a fat person. I have to compensate for being fat by being funny. You can change who you are. That is the one thing that I personally believe has been so unbelievably secluded and alienated from every single young person's mind who wants to be successful, or even old people, is that you can change. You can change. You are not who you are forever. It's such a simple 3-word fucking mantra, but you can change. And people don't understand that for some reason. People don't understand that you can be the best version of yourself by believing the best things about yourself. We are not the highest version of ourselves. We are the lowest version of ourselves that we can accept. I can go on days and days and days and cover self-beliefs, thought processes, decision-making, human psychology. I have a bazillion videos on my channel. This channel is like a library of infinite knowledge for anyone to go through. And the best part is it's all free. And you can go check it out. Quick plug. But you understand what I'm saying is you can change who you are. And you can change who you are for the better. The next thing I want to touch on for molding reality, because this is more of a day-to-day thing, is thoughts and emotions. A thought is not a state of mind, and an emotion is not a state of mind. You can choose your state of mind. You can choose everything. Intent defines what you get out of life. When I go to the gym, I have the intent to get a good lift in and build muscle. So what do? I train in the way that would build me the most muscle, hitting the lifts that would target my shoulders. I did shoulders and biceps today. So guess what? My shoulders and biceps are going to be 1% bigger tomorrow. And that's intention. The truth is just because you're putting in the work doesn't mean that you're going to make the money. If hard work equated to the most money, then the donkey would be the emperor. I'm sure you guys have heard that prior, but it's very much so true. The equivalent of it is just because you're putting in the work, think of it like a bucket with a couple of holes on the bottom. These holes are your limiting beliefs. You have a hose, and the hose is your identity, and the water coming out of the hose is, your work, essentially. You have this bucket of identity here, and these little self-belief systems in the bottom. You can temporarily try and fix them and maybe tape them up or try and make the water run so fast, You maybe work so hard that it outworks your self-belief systems, which that never works. And you just end up crashing out, becoming depressed. Do you see what I'm saying? The best way, the thing is you can change. Just because you're putting in the work, your belief systems are still there. Therefore, the water level in the bucket is still going to be 0. You have to change the bucket out, aka become a new person, and then every ounce of work that you put in will compound over time. And that's the truth of it. You are not your thoughts. You are simply the observer of them. Any thought or an emotion is not a state of mind because you can choose your state of mind. I'm sure you guys have hung around somebody that's depressed all the time or unhappy all the time, and they choose to be if you can point out in my thing, name 3 things in this video. The high-rise view, the black hoodie, and the chair. There's 3 things. Now point out 3 things that are in your room. Okay, whatever, your chair, maybe your food or your phone. You can choose these things. So if your situation, so playing into the fact that I said that your emotion, your thoughts are not a definitive state of mind, you can choose your state of mind. People can point out negatives, people can point out positives. If you can willingly put yourself in a bad mood and think about every traumatic experience that has ever happened to you in your entire life that will make you sad, you can do the same thing on the other side of the coin of making it positive. It's all frame and it's all state of mind, which you can choose. Like I said, you are not your thoughts, you are simply the observer of them. A thought is an idea. A thought is, some would say, a pendulum. If you've read Reality Transurfing, amazing book. I would highly suggest anybody watching this video to go check it out. I don't have an affiliate link for it. It's not my book. I don't get paid for it. It's just such a fucking fantastic piece of literature that I have to suggest it on this channel. But you can choose your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are your brain's chemistry reaction to experiences, scenarios. Some people, if something happens, maybe they're going to freeze up or whatever. Maybe someone says something to them and they're going to call them a name. See, they had the thought to call them a name, so they acted on it. Those are the kind of people that are obviously never going to achieve anything in their entire life because they don't understand that their thoughts are not them, but they operate like their thoughts are their identity and they need to act on it. And that's also how you get some pretty darn evil people in this world, okay? Your thoughts are not yourself. You are the observer of your thoughts. A thought is not your reality. Does that make sense? You have a thought about something, you can sit there and analyze it and obviously be logical and think about, is this a valid thought to have? And if it's not, then kick it out. If anything on the planet or in your life is putting yourself, I guess, positive self-beliefs at risk, cut it out. Cut it out right now. I want you guys to understand the importance of identity. I want you guys to understand the importance of molding reality. You have to act with intention. You have to go do things. Why do you consume protein powder? You consume it even though it tastes like shit because there's an intention behind the consumption. Why can't you do that with everything else you do in life? Most people don't know what they want, which is why they don't get it. I know everything I want and how I'm going to get it, which is why you've seen me progress over the last year on social media and get what I want out of life. I cannot be more happy with my life, and I'm going to continue to achieve more. I wish every single person watching this video has taken notes. I wish every single person watching this video has understood what I've said. If not, rewatch it because this is going to change your fucking life. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, comment what you thought of it. If you want to work one-on-one with me, if you don't make money, you don't have to pay us. You can apply for completely free down below. First link in the description. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @RealSmithReese. Subscribe if you found this video valuable. As I said, you can change. Nothing is fucking stopping you. Go check out my other YouTube videos. If you want more stuff like this, it's just an amazing library. It's an eclectic library of fantastic knowledge. I thank you so much for watching and giving me your time. I hope it was worth it. Take care, and as always, stay blessed.